Hello everyone, my name is Masooma Moradi, and it's my pleasure to present this article provided by Cosmo Intel. The article explores the influence of T consciousness field 1 on the magnetic properties of pure iron atoms in microgravity conditions. Before I begin, I would like to introduce Muhammad Ali Taheri. He is a theorist, innovator, and also the founder of Cosmo Intel Research Center for T consciousness fields studies. In this presentation, I will begin by explaining the aim of the study. Next, I will provide a brief introduction, followed by the methods. Then I will be elaborating on the tables and figures to present the result before concluding. This study aimed to investigate the change of saturation magnetization of iron powder in microgravity conditions and under the treatment of T consciousness field 1. Moreover, this experiment provides an opportunity for us to investigate whether the impact of TCF1 is gravity dependent. As many of you may know, iron is the fourth most abundant element in the Earth's crust after oxygen, silicon, and aluminum. In terms of magnetic properties, iron is one of the ferromagnetic materials of nature. To add, iron can retain a large amount of its magnetization, or in other words, its magnetization memory. Vibrational scanning magnetometer device has been used in this study to investigate iron saturation magnetization. Furthermore, the clinostat device was used to simulate microgravity by rotating samples to eliminate the sensation of gravity. We look to further explore the important components of this study, T consciousness and T consciousness fields. According to Taheri's theory, in addition to matter and energy, the universe is formed of a third component named T consciousness, from which information, matter, and energy come from. There are various T consciousness fields with different functions, and TCF1 is one of them. According to this theory, when a sample is exposed to T consciousness fields, its behavior changes as a result of receiving information. Moving on to the methods. In this study, T consciousness field 1 was applied to samples according to protocols regulated by the Cosmo Intel Research Center. A request for connection to CCN, Cosmic Consciousness Network, to utilize these fields can be placed through the Cosmo Intel website in the Assign Announcements section. This access is available for everyone at no cost. To add, this entire experiment was carried out as a double-blind method where lab technicians were completely unaware of T consciousness fields theory, and the Faradarmagar at the Cosmo Intel Research Center, who established the consciousness bond, was unaware of the details of the study. The main difference between the theory of T consciousness fields and other theoretical concepts presented in regard to consciousness is the application and practical use of T consciousness fields. These fields can be applied to all living and non-living organisms, including human, plants, animal, microorganisms, and materials. The samples under T consciousness field application and the control samples were made of pure iron solid powder with a grain size of about 110 microns. To apply microgravity conditions, the test sample and control were placed in the classic clinostat rotating at 10 revolutions per minute. After 24 hours of being placed in microgravity conditions, the samples were removed from the device and sent to the relevant laboratories to measure the saturation magnetization. The time of measuring the saturation magnetization of the test sample and control was the same, about 2 weeks after the treatment of T consciousness field 1 and microgravity conditions exposure. Now I will be discussing the results of the article. Table 1 provides a list of naming conventions and process used to assign the different samples for the control and the experimental in this study. The data in Table 2 shows that the saturation magnetization level of the control in microgravity conditions is about 25% less than the saturation magnetization of control under Earth gravity in this study. while the experimental samples of saturation magnetization in microgravity conditions is almost equal to the magnetization reported under Earth gravity conditions, under 2%, which is negligible. Figure 4 shows hysteresis curve of different samples. The top section displays experimental and control samples under Earth gravity, while the bottom section displays experimental and control samples under microgravity conditions. Also, please refer to the Table 3 for numbering and process conducted on the samples. Moving on to Figure 5. As seen in Figure 5, the difference between the average saturation of control under microgravity conditions, Mg0, and the average saturation of the other samples is significant. TCF1 does not have a significant effect on the saturation magnetization of pure iron powder samples under Earth gravity conditions. However, TCF1 can maintain the saturation magnetization of sample under microgravity, Mg1, to the level of saturation magnetization of control samples under Earth gravity. I will be elaborating further on the discussion section. It appears that application of the TCF1 has created a new situation in the clinostat environment, so that in this new situation, the reduced gravity has been compensated for. This observation suggests that samples under the influence of TCF1 received information that compensated for the reduced gravity, indicating a potential effect of T-consciousness fields on the magnetic properties of iron. Let's delve into the conclusions drawn from this study. The outcomes of this experiment validate that, despite the non-material essence of T-consciousness fields, their impacts are measurable within laboratory confines. To add, we observed changes in iron's saturation magnetization under microgravity compared to Earth gravity. However, TCF1 does not significantly affect the saturation magnetization of pure iron powder samples under Earth gravity conditions. The study findings summarize that the properties of iron under the influence of the TCF1 in microgravity conditions are similar to its properties in Earth gravity conditions. In closing, I will be discussing the future prospects of the study. First, the analysis and calculation of the parameters for the reduction achieved in the study for the iron control and its magnetization. Second, examining the physical structure of the experimental and control samples of the study with XRD technique, as well as the physical analysis governing the manner of T-consciousness field 1's impact in maintaining Earth-like magnetization. I would like to give special thanks to the research team, Mr. Mohammad Ali Taheri, Zara Torabi, Farid Semsarha, Farzad Ahmad Khanlu, Firuz Payarvand, and Amir Muslehi. Please feel free to explore the reference page for a more detailed overview of the study. Lastly, I would like to finish my presentation by providing information slide about the ScienceFact Research Center, which is conducting and publishing research in the consciousness fields according to Taheri's concept. We would like to invite laboratories and research institutions worldwide who are interested in collaboration. If interested, please contact Cosmo Intel via email. Thank you very much for listening.